What is Zone 2 cycling, and are you doing it right? There are quite a few zones in cycling to choose from. You've got Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 5 and Warp 7. Okay, so clearly Warp 7 is a joke, but what I'm trying to get across is there are many zones that we can use to improve our fitness, but a lot of people talk about Zone 2. So what is Zone 2 and how does it improve your fitness on a bike? Zone 2 is the endurance building zone. It's a low stress and low fatigue training zone. If you did all your cycle training all in Zone 2, you would increase your ability to cycle faster over greater distances, conserving power and energy, aka you'd become a faster, more efficient endurance cyclist. Training in that aerobic Zone 2 also helps you go harder in higher training zones, and I'll tell you how that happens in a bit. So, how does training in Zone 2, an aerobic focused training zone, improve your fitness and your speed on the bike? Let's do the geeky stuff. Number 1. Zone 2 increases the aerobic enzyme activity in the type 1 aerobic muscle fibers for efficient, faster oxygen consumption. The more type 1 muscle fibers you have, the more lactate you can turn into fuel. So when you're going harder on the bike, you can go longer without that burn slowing you down. B. Zone 2 increases mitochondrial content and efficiency in the muscle, increasing the muscle's ability to create ATP, which is energy, and process more oxygen. 5. It increases the oxidative capacity of the muscle to use more blood lipids as fuel, which conserves glycogen. 5. It increases stroke volume and the amount of blood pumped by the left ventricle of your heart for every beat, and that means more blood is pumped to the working muscles. X. It increases capillary density in the muscle, increasing the delivery of the pipework to and from the body, making it more efficient in delivering oxygen to the working muscles and removing waste metabolites much faster. 2 things here. First off, these glasses, I can't see anything out of them. They're my reading glasses, and if you were paying any attention at all, those numbers were all over the place. Anyway, back to Zone 2. You can see from that last list why it's so important that we need to train in Zone 2 and we need to do it effectively. So I guess the next question really is, how should you cycle and do your training sessions in Zone 2? If you use a power meter, ride at about 55% to 75% of FTP, and if you have a heart rate monitor, between 60% and 70% of your max heart rate, and if you don't have any gadgets, an RPE of 3 or 4, or a level where you feel like you can have a comfortable but breathy chat with a mate while you're cycling all the way around your ride, is about right. Now, those are the numbers in the guide of the effort level that you're supposed to be riding at, but in real life, do you know what, when you're riding outside, it's quite tough to always stick in that absolute Zone 2 effort for the whole of the ride because of things like hills and potentially going a little bit quicker than normal. But what I think the most important thing to do and get across here is, when you're riding steady in Zone 2, the majority of that ride should be in Zone 2. If you come out of it for a little bit, that's not a problem. Thing is, you need to have those zones and those effort levels in your mind of what you're trying to achieve in the ride, so you can spend most of the time in aerobic Zone 2, and that way you'll get a load more out of your Zone 2 cycling. Let's talk about living in a hilly area, because look, I live in North Devon. It's very hilly where I am. And the thing is, if you're struggling to keep in Zone 2 on your bike, you need to look at your gears, and you can aim for 1132, and if you find that still quite tough, you can go into something like 1136, and that'll just give you a few more sprockets to play with to keep you in your zone. Is there a best cadence to ride in aerobic Zone 2? Well, the answer to that is no, not really, because my best answer really is ride at your most natural cadence for the terrain that you're cycling on, and stay in an aerobic capacity as much as you can. Should you perform Zone 2 fasted? You can, but really should you, and why are you doing it in the first place? There are a lot of people out there who'll say silly things and like it's amazing for burning body fat, and you know what? They'd be wrong. What they really mean is that low carbohydrate and fasted training improves blood lipid oxidation. Now, I'm not going to go into that today because I've done a really lengthy video all about that already. And what I'll do is I'll put a link into that into the comments of this video. And last of all, let's just drive this home. Let's talk about using Zone 2 long aerobic rides for weight loss. Just don't do that. There is really good evidence to show that very low energy and low carbohydrate training is immunosuppressing and muscle wasting. And I'm guessing none of us wants to be ill and weak. Look, if you are really looking to drop weight and you want to stay training effectively, the best way to do this is to eat in a way that's going to give you good energy and support your training and recovery. And the only way to do this is to have a calorie deficit evenly spaced throughout the day. That way, you'll have plenty of energy throughout the day and enough macronutrients and micronutrients to support your training and recovery. Righty, so let's wrap things up. Zone 2 aerobic cycling is your foundational base zone that makes you cycle longer aerobic rides faster. It develops the muscle machinery to go harder, conditions you to longer saddle times, and is a great time to learn how to fuel your longer rides better and pace them like a pro. If you want to learn the right fueling strategy about how to fuel your longer rides, I made a video about this and you can watch that right here.